Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for being with me. I want to remind you while you're opening your Bible to Psalm 62, that Sunday is Father's Day. Moms, children, grandchildren, be in church with Dad, with your grandfather, honor him. And hey, guys, remember we have the drawing in all three worship services. A couple of men in each service winning some Omaha steak packages, so you want to be here as we have fun together and honor dads. And I look forward to being with you and preaching on Father's Day as well. All right, as I mentioned, we're in Psalm 62, and this is a psalm where David, he's expressing his devotion to God almost in contrast to the actions of evil men who murder people, who oppress people, who steal from people. Excuse me. And you see that in verses 1 and 2, his devotion. He says, "My soul waits in silence for God only. For him from him is my salvation. He only is my rock and my salvation, my stronghold. I shall not be greatly shaken." So he expresses his devotion to God here and in other places in this psalm. And then he talks about those who are not devoted to God. Verse 4, for instance, others, have counseled only to thrust him down from his high position. They want to bring people down. They delight in falsehood and untruth and lies. They bless with their mouth, but inwardly they curse. They're two-faced. Look at verse 10, for instance. He says, "Do not trust in oppression and do not vainly hope in robbery. If riches increase, do not set your heart upon them." So there are people like David who are devoted to God, and then there are the others who are two-faced and they want to take advantage of people and hurt people, etc., etc. And in the midst of that, David encourages people to look to God. Look at verse 8. It says, "Trust in him, trust in the Lord. Trust in him at all times, O people. Pour out your heart before him, before God. God is a refuge for us, for you, for me, for us." And so that's the image here. And then there's one more thing. He says God has the power to know what all of us are doing. And then he has the power not only to know what all of us are doing, but to judge it. And based on that judgment, to either reward us or punish us. Look at verses 11 and 12. He says, "Once God has spoken, twice I have heard this." In other words, God has said this and I've heard this, that power belongs to God. Some of us may think we have power, but ultimately all power belongs to God. Power belongs to God. Verse 12, "And loving kindness is yours, O Lord, for you recompense a man according to his word." Various translations will say you recompense, you render, you reward each person according to his work or according to what they have done. And so the idea is that God has the power to know if you're doing good, like David, or you're doing evil, like those who oppress, those who steal, so on. God knows. Are you doing good? Are you doing evil? He has the power to know that. You can't hide it from him. And God has the power to determine what is good and what is evil. And God has the power to reward, to recompense, to render. In other words, God is going to give us what we deserve. Do evil, we'll be recompensed with punishment. Do good, we'll be recompensed with blessing. Now, sometimes it seems like people are getting away with really bad stuff. And it can seem like people get away with it a long time. Not always, but sometimes they get away with it a long, long time. What you and I need to remember when we see people getting away with things and it breaks our hearts is they will not get away with it forever. They will not get away with it forever. What is hidden will be made known. Their day is coming. So know that. Maybe it comes slower than we would like. And that doesn't always seem fair, does it? But the day of reckoning is coming. The flip side is also true. There are people who serve God faithfully in obscurity, but God has the power to see and know, and their day of reward and blessing is coming too. In the meantime, what do? What David encouraged all the people to do in verse 8, trust in him. Pour out your heart before him and let God be your refuge. Go to God, trust God, pour your heart out to God, and let God be your refuge until the day of reckoning, the day of blessing, the day of punishment. Let God be your refuge until that day comes, for that day is surely coming for everyone. Hey, God bless you. Look forward to being with you tomorrow in Psalm 63.